Hey, this is Donnie Smith, and I've got some spray gun tips for you. In this video, I'm going to talk about spray gun patterns and how to adjust your fan pattern. So let's talk about a fan pattern. But first, let's freeze it right there and talk about where is the fan pattern adjustment. This whole video will be pointless if you lost the entire time trying to figure out which valve adjusts the fan pattern. On this gun, you'll see that right above the fluid control valve is the fan pattern. The fan adjusts your fan, the width of the fan. If you turn it to the right, like you're tightening something up, you're going to make a smaller pattern. If you open it up, turning it to the left, that's going to make a wider pattern. Generally, you want about an 8 to 12 inch pattern on your gun. Now, depending on the gun you use, that may vary a little bit, but usually, if it's open up all the way, you're going to be somewhere between 8 and 12 inches. And there are times when you may want a smaller pattern, and we'll talk about when you'd want that later on in the video. Some guns that have them on the side here, like this one, and it's the same way. If you turn the valve towards the right, it's going to make a smaller pattern. If you turn it towards the left, it's going to make a wider pattern. Just a couple different locations, but it does the exact same thing. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, I just wanted to clear that up, make sure it's crystal clear before we continue. We'll go ahead and continue the process. Okay, I'm hooking a spray gun up. I'm going to spray some primer here and just kind of show you how to adjust it, mainly focusing on the fan. But remember how I showed you to hold that upside down to get all the air out of that 3M cup, and adjusting the air here, and we covered that. Now what I'm doing is adjusting the fan pattern. Basically what I'm going to do here with the fluid and the fan, I'm just going to open it up all the way first, and then we can go from there. So I have the recommended amount of air pressure. The fluid is all the way back, and we're going to cover fluid in another one, and the fan pattern's all the way open. And I'm going to test it on this panel here, and you can see that it's the complete width of this paper, and this is 12-inch masking paper, and this kind of helps you monitor or measure how wide your pattern is. And you can see I'm getting a really nice wide pattern with this, and that's generally where you want to do, like your base coat. Now there may be cases with a primer, we may cut that down a little bit, or with a clear coat, and we'll talk about that in a different video where we talk about medium wet and full wet coats. But what I'm doing here, let's say you have a fender and you just want to prime a small spot. You wouldn't want to cover the whole fender with that. You may be wanting to blend within a panel. So I'm have to reset the air pressure. Now, right now, I turned the fan pattern all the way in, as tight as it'd go, and I shot a dot and it just ran everywhere. So that told me I had to decrease the fluid. So now I got it set right, and you can see I can just spray a line here. You really wouldn't want to spray or prime anything like that, so that's not going to really do us any good, just kind of showing you. But I'm going to get about a 3 or 4 inch pattern, which will make a real small pattern. This would work well for priming a fender. This would allow me to keep the primer area smaller, and that means I could keep my paint area smaller and blend within the panel, and without having to prime, blend into the next panels, adjacent panels possibly. So we're just showing a demonstration here. Let's say we had about a 3 or 4 inch, and usually it's going to be a little bigger area than that, time you block everything out. But just for this example, I'm showing you how you can, let's just say you had a real small area you just wanted to prime. Well, you can prime a really small area like this, and you can see that it only covers about 3 or 4 inches. Now I weighted my flash, put a second coat on, and still, the area that's primed small. Now when you paint, you'd want to extend out past that, and so forth. But this is the time when you may want to keep your gun, to a smaller pattern. About a 4 inch pattern works well for priming small areas, and that will help keep it, from getting all over the fender or panel. and requiring you to blend into adjacent panels. So just that kind of covers that. Now, generally, most of the time, you're going to want a really wide pattern. Now, a lot of times, the pattern can be turned all the way open. You turn it towards the left so that it's as wide as you can get it, and that's going to produce a pretty good pattern. And a lot of times, especially like with base coat, where you're wanting a good even coat, a really wide pattern works well. So a lot of times with base coat, I'll have it all the way open. And with primer, you don't necessarily need it that even. A lot of times I will bring the pattern to the primer in just a little bit. Oh, for priming, probably about anywhere from 4 to 6 inches is a good pattern, a little bit narrower. If I'm painting the complete panel with base coat, or the complete car, anywhere from 8 to 12 does a pretty good job. Now, if I'm doing clear coat, I will also turn the pattern in, not down as much as when I'm priming. I'll just set it in to where, like if this is just my preference, but if I'm testing it on that 12-inch paper, I want to make sure that all the pattern is inside of the paper. So I would say probably about 8 to 10 inches when I'm clear coating, and that helps me produce a full wet coat that we're wanting. And again, some painters like it wide open when clearing. That's just something you'll have to play with, as far as your technique. That's just what I have found to work well for me and the products I use. Now, different products may vary a little bit as well. And that's the thing about painting. We can give you some recommendations, some things to start trying, but you go by all the recommendations first, then you're going to have to kind of tweak it a little bit to fit your gun, the materials you're using, and your individual technique. Anyway, that wraps this video up. We'll be talking more about overlap and some of the pattern problems and some other paint gun issues, in later videos. Well, thanks for watching this video. Talk to you next time.